Well, good afternoon, everyone. Can we, if everyone would take their seat, we could start the meeting. That's a very good seat. You did very well, Steve. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and meeting our new candidates that will soon be board members. My name is Bill Burnett. I'm Vice President of the board, and I'm the chair of the Communication and IT Committee. So it's been my privilege today to speak to these candidates, give you a chance to speak to the candidates and find out a little bit about them, what their vision is for our organization, and how they're going to be able to serve all of our needs in the future. So thank you very much for coming. The agenda is very simple. I'm going to ask them several questions. They're going to answer the questions brilliantly. You're all going to be so impressed with them that you won't have anything to say that's negative about any of them. And then if there's an opportunity for you to ask questions of them, you're more than welcome to do that. I really don't know how long this will take, maybe an hour or so, hopefully. And then the rest of us can eat all this wonderful cheese that Tim has offered us as inducement for showing up today. And for those of you who came for the cheese, please hang in to the candidates portion of the meeting as well. Let me tell you where this started. In November of this year, we had a meeting with the nominating committee. The nominating committee is comprised of 5 individuals. Myself, Board President Dan Graziano, Betsy Gallo, Kathy Deedy, and Steve Brown. So it's a combination of board members and members at large. And the challenge of these nice people was to find candidates who could meet the requirements, have the interest and the willingness to dedicate their time and energy to serving our community. So we went through that process, met several times. We probably reviewed more than 50 or 60 potential candidates. Some folks weren't able to serve, some folks had other obligations, but we're delighted that we have 3 outstanding candidates that we're going to share with you today. So the agenda announced. If you have any questions, let me know, but I think we'll begin. So first of all, over there is John Dabrowski. I'm going to ask John to say a few things about himself in a minute. We have Mitch Fishman, and we have Brian Sharon. I don't know if you all know these 3 folks. I promise you in the next 45 minutes to an hour, you'll know them quite well. So first of all, let me just indicate that I've asked them to ask some questions of them about themselves, about their vision for our community, and about how they got involved in this process. So let me start with John. John, if you'd take these nice folks, give a little background on yourself, please.
Sure. John Dabrowski. I'm from the Shoreham neighborhood. We've been here just over 10 years. We closed in September of 2013. That's a story unto itself. Came down in August, visited 16 properties, all in one day. Never set foot on Stonebridge property in the past. We'd always vacationed in the area, tried out different golf courses, some of which were bundled communities, but never set foot on Stonebridge. We, over the years, have had an opportunity and been fortunate to spend more and more time here and became residents in 2017. And we just love the community. We love the people. The very first week I was here, I was invited to play golf. If it was a Tuesday, I was invited to play golf on Saturday. And it was just a continuation of that same culture through all the years. It's just a real honor to be able to be on the board here. And when Bill asked me, what was kind of a turning point for me in terms of considering it, I said, well, you know what? If not now, when? I think there's just a lot of opportunity right now for the club, and I want to be part of that.
Thank you, John. What activities do you participate in, John? Now, you mentioned golf.
Sure. Well, golf and golf and golf. I've been on. Well, I'm actually the chair of the Shoreham Association currently, and I've done it in the past with with a break in between. I've been on I forgot what we called it, the Facilities Improvement Subcommittee, which was basically all about the bistro, the grill room, and everything beyond the golf course.
A lot of involvement in the community. Thank you. And you also have someone who lives with you that I would like you to introduce,
Oh, my wife, Jane, uh, who's sitting.
along with you on this journey.
That's right. And Jane is on the House Committee.
Yeah, Jane, would you stand, please? There you go. Thank you for your support to John all these years. All right, the next gentleman I'd like to introduce with the same set of questions is Mitch Fishman. Mitch, would you give us an indication of your background and why you're here and that sort of stuff, please?
Sure. First off, the name tag says Mitchell Fishman, and somebody asked me earlier, I've never heard anybody call you Mitchell. And I said, well, my mother does once in a while. But so we're going to I mentioned to Tim, and he's going to change my name somehow or another to be Mitch going forward. But my wife Sharon and I live up in Hull, Massachusetts. For those of you who know that area, is a small town just across the harbor of Boston. We're there for about 6 months a year, and we come down to Heatherwood the other 6 months. Unlike John and Jane, we came looking for a place by drawing a circle around a map and said, we want to live here. And we came and looked at one place in Stonebridge, and we said, geez, we really like this. We can fix it up to be our own. Looked at a couple others, and by the end of the day, we're like, okay, we'll take this one. So we are thrilled to be here. We have made some lifelong friends. The gallery in front of us are part of that. And we will continue to be friends for decades, for the rest of our lives. We've really cherished them. And we also play golf and try to do as many activities as possible in the area. And we're looking forward for the bistro to be open. We're looking forward to other activities as we continue to get involved with the community.
And you also have a lovely support system. Would you introduce her, please?
We got to stand
You got to
up.
stand up. You got to
This is
stand
my
up.
wife, Sharon, for those of you who don't know Sharon.
All right. Thank you, Mitch. Brian, last but not least in this category, we have English history for, oh, that's the wrong. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your lovely wife, Jane
Well, I'm
Ann,
going
when
to
you
start
get a
out with
chance.
Jane Ann.
Jane Ann,
So
yeah.
I don't. This is my wife, Jane Ann. When I was first asked to be on the board, Jane Ann, I talked to her about it, of course, and she said, "Well, won't that mean you'll be out of the house more?" And I said, "Yes." And then she said, "By all means, then, yeah." So Jane and I, we have 3 children. 2 are up in Massachusetts. 1 is in Nashville. We had the only connection we had to Stonebridge when I first came here. She was not with me. Was longtime friends of ours that were here. And I always swore I would never go to Florida. So, and I think that's true of a lot of people. And so I came down, I saw their place, and then it was a year and a half later, I think, that I said, we should go down and see it. You'd really like it, And so they told us there was a place for sale. So we came down, looked at 2 places, bought the second. I think we came down on a Wednesday, bought the place on Friday, and left on Saturday. And it was in the spring, and then we came back in July and then October of that year. But we never really looked back. People ask us, why didn't you look at more places? And it just worked out the way it worked out, and I can't really imagine it having worked out any better. Initially, we were in Thornbrook. That was in 2016, so this is I believe our 8th season here. And then in 2021, we moved over into Hawthorne on Wexford Court. So it's something that like I said, we've enjoyed it more and more, and I think we're going to enjoy it even more now with the new golf course and the bistro and everything else. So my background, do you want to do background too, or just? Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. So that's how we got here, and we love it here. And as Mitch said, so we've made so many friends here already, and enjoy it immensely.
Thank you, Brian. Mitch, why did you choose? You kind of indicated you drew a circle around a map. Now that you're here, what keeps you here? What is valuable to you about the Stonebridge community?
Well, certainly the people. That would be my wife.
We're going to make you stand again if that happens.
honestly, Bill, the people are the biggest thing for me, but also the size of the community means a lot. When we were here in October, we spent about 6 weeks, beginning of October till middle of November. We got the opportunity to play a lot of reciprocals. The good news, bad news of our course being under repair is we got to play elsewhere. And as much as I love playing several of the courses, as you ride your cart through the golf course and your car through the community, you really get to appreciate this place quite a bit. I love the fact that you can do a full loop in the morning walking around and see 3 or 4 or 5 people along the way and say hi to them. I love the fact that um, we have a management team with Tim and Mary and the rest, Joe and the rest of the crowd that are fully dedicated to making sure this place runs as the board directs them to and in their best judgment. And um, I think just the aesthetics of the clubhouse and the grounds and the like is just very much appreciated by us.
Thank you. Yeah, I certainly agree. John, what are the best assets, in your opinion, that Stonebridge possesses?
Well, I think that one of the things that perhaps we didn't think about during the last 3 years or so, but we have a bundle golf community, which, if you think about it, day one, you can play golf. There are a number of communities in the area, greater Naples, that you can buy a home, but you might be waiting 5, 6 years to play golf. I think that the club is an excellent venue now and in the future. I think we've added to the attractiveness of the community. If I can speak for my wife, I mean, when we first pulled into Stonebridge in 2013, we liked the appeal of it was a mature community. We loved the tree-lined streets. Uh, it was immaculate, meticulously cared for, and it just kept getting better and better. So again, I mean, we've got an opportunity now to have an even better golf course, an even better experience, customer member experience with the addition of the bistro, and I think we'll just add to it. So the assets are there. We just need to optimize.
There you go. Thank you, John. Brian, what do you tell your friends about Stonebridge, people who haven't been here or are non-members?
Well, I guess, going back to what I said before, I tell them, I'm amazed at, what an incredible lifestyle it is and how the people, everyone here is incredibly friendly, welcoming, and inclusive. I just think that, that's what I tell them. I say, we come here, we meet a lot of people. I guess the one thing I tell them the most is that I need an admin to keep track of our social schedule. And secondly is that it's pretty much nonstop if you want it to be nonstop. You make your own life here, and you can be as busy or not as busy as you want. And just I tell them that I can't imagine being in a better place to live, and that the amenities we have here are getting better and better, and that every year it seems to get. We certainly get busier every year, but every year everything here seems to get better. And I guess one of the other things too we all talk about it is it's just I think for being in Naples, people have been in Naples, but I think that one of the things here is the location where we are. I mean, we're close to the airport. We're close to downtown, but this area just itself is great. Access to beaches and everything. And I think the fact that we have this bundled community in this location is pretty amazing.
Excellent. Thank you. Certainly agree. Let's switch topics a little bit to why on earth would you agree to be on the board? I'll give you a chance to think about that. Let's start with Brian, since you're in a roll. Seriously, what you've got lots of going on in your life. There's lots of things here you can do. This is going to take some time and some effort.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Well, it's funny. In the last few weeks, people have come up to me, and I've gotten various things like, "Oh, you're going to be on the board. That's great. Thank you for doing that." And also people like, "Oh, you're going to be on the board," that kind of thing. And and I said, I think it's what you make of it. And my response always is, I'm sure it'll be fun. And the reason they're going, to your original question, going back to it is, I've served on finance committee for a couple of years. I was on strategic planning with Kathy, and then on the House committee currently. And I got a real appreciation for what goes on here. And I think there's, unless you get involved in that, it's really hard to fully understand the amount of effort that goes into running this place on the part of the membership and the volunteer membership, as well as the staff and the management here. There's a lot to it. And so I got an appreciation for that, and I saw what other people were doing. And, we plan on being here for the rest of our lives. We're not going anywhere. And I think it's, I go back to what John, bless you, go back to John's comment early on is, if not now, when? So I wanted to do something. I wanted to give back to Stonebridge, so to speak. And if people thought I was worthy of being on the board, then certainly I'll accept that challenge and do the absolute best I can.
Well, I'm sure you will, and you certainly are worthy. Mitch, in spite of serving on the Communication and IT committee that I chaired, you still are interested in being on the board. Would you share with us your thoughts about why you wanted to be on the board?
Sure. And again, it wasn't as quite an easy decision as others may have had. But when Bill called me and Steve and the crew from the nominating committee nominated me, I really had to take a step back and think about it just for a minute. And the biggest thing is when I was working, I was always on, not always obviously, but in my later years, I was always on an executive committee that that acted like a board. I was also the representative to the mutual fund board of directors for our organization. So I got involved in the board in that way. And when I retired, I was doing a little consulting on the side, and it was a great way to keep in touch with people and keep the mind working a little bit, if you will. And this past year, the consulting has slowed down, and I was looking for something else to keep me busy. And so when you called Bill, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm happy to be part of the organization and to help this place grow in the best way possible.
And you certainly will do that. Thank you. John, you've been on a couple of committees. You're the president of Shoreham. How does that committee work that you've done, the committee commitment you've made, help formulate your decision to be on the board?
Yeah, I think that's a great question in that it gave me an opportunity to work with Tim Jones. Tim and I think that we formed a great relationship, business relationship, in terms of how to get things done. And it's always about the people. Met a lot of great people on staff. I'm getting to know Joe on staff, and he'll be a great asset in the future to move things to the next level. Dan's going to laugh, but I felt comfortable after that to be on this board. But it gave me the experience, I think, to know kind of the ropes to know and the ones to skip as I move through the process. And I'm going to leverage that on the board.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's skip to the future. We have a lot of things going on. We're going to complete these two wonderful renovations shortly, and I think we're all going to enjoy this immensely. But it can never stop, as we all know. You have to continue to move forward. So give us a sense of what you think the future of Stonebridge should be. I'll start with Mitch, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, I definitely think first and foremost, I've said this many times, is we have to finish what we started, right? We need the golf course to grow, the grass to grow, the greens to get a little bit softer, so my line drives stay on the green just a little bit. And we need the landscaping, obviously, to be put in and for that to grow. I know that was something that was disappointing to many people, so we got to finish it. I also think the bistro is going to be fantastic, and we have to make that a place where everybody's comfortable to go to. So what is next? In my opinion, and no surprise, this is kind of both an aging population plus a lot of new people coming in. And so I think part of the solution or part of the future has to be that all members get to enjoy the facilities and being a resident here at Stonebridge. And just as, for example, I think the new swimming pool, for those who may be more physically challenged, can now walk into the swimming pool and not have to deal with stairs. So I think more people are going to have to deal with that, or not have to deal, will want to deal with that. I think something like bocce ball is something that anyone can do. People who know me know that I help run a charity golf tournament for paralyzed veterans. Those guys, they play bocce, they bowl, all from their,
Wheelchairs, yeah.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's a very worthwhile thing, and thank you for doing it. On behalf of those veterans like me who didn't have that problem, thank you for doing that. Excellent. John, tell us a little bit about what obstacles do you think we're going to face to achieve the future that we would like to achieve here at Stonebridge?
Well, we've talked about this more recently, that I think we've got a gestation period in front of us here where the membership is focused on absorbing and consuming what we have in front of us right now. I think I'd mentioned before that we really need to fine tune, we need to optimize everything that's in place and will be in place shortly. The golf course, we know, I think we have a very good idea in terms of some of the pressure points that need to be dealt with in the near term. I think everyone's anxious as far as the bistro opening is concerned. And I think that we really need to be hyper focused in the short term in terms of how do we optimize everything so that we can get the greatest short term return, because I think over the longer term things will just move into place nicely.
Good. Brian, what needs to be done in your judgment from this point to ensure the future that we've talked about?
Well, I agree with John. I mean, we need to give what we have now, what we just put in place, time to mature, and the staff to mature and get everything in place. And we need to get that all right. Same thing Mitch was saying. We need to. There's certain things that have to be addressed right now and get the course where it needs to be, and the plantings and so on and so forth. And I know there's a plan for that. So, which is a great thing. So, but I think that we need to be constantly looking forward. There's a lot of competition around here in terms of, communities. They're not all bundled communities. There's a limited number of bundled communities, but there's still competition in the last. I mean, all we got to do is go out and make a right on a Mockley Road and drive down, you'll see it. This is not only a place to live for us and a community for us and a place to have fun, but it's also an investment. And I think we need to be constantly ensuring that Stonebridge stays relevant, that it stays current, and that we do everything we can to keep this community very viable for the future, and that people want to come here. So I think to do that, we're going to have to really focus on strategic planning. Really looking forward to what's coming next. What can we do? We have the challenge here of a very limited footprint, and there's certain things we just can't do here. But that doesn't mean we can't do nothing. So we have to stay on top of it. Anything we can possibly do to further engage the community, as Mitch said, give people here who maybe are aging out of being able to play golf, give them other opportunities to do things that are, out to be outside and socialize and so on and so forth. So I think we just need to be constantly looking at those things. We need to stay financially viable as well. So we need to have a close eye on the finances and to make sure that we are operating at peak financial ability.
Excellent. It's a 3-year commitment, and my friend Dan Graziano would say they're dog years. But I think you have to have the commitment to the community at that length in order to get things done. As we've learned in the past, you just can't turn over the rock and expect something to happen tomorrow that we'd all like to happen. So I think your point, Brian, on the strategic planning focus is an excellent one. Before I close my comments, I would like to thank all of you for your commitment to our community. What I learned when I was on the board is that there's a lot more that goes on here than any of us ever realized. B, it's a lot of work to get it done. And C, if you work at it, you can change it and make it better. And that's the thing that fueled my interest in the board. And I know that that will fuel yours. I'd like to give each of you one last opportunity to make a comment. So I don't know who I guess I'll go to Mitch. Mitch, why don't you make your final comment? And then we'll open it up to any questions that the audience might have.
Well, I've regained my composure. No, I'm excited. Perhaps not for the 3 years to come, but for at least a while. I'm really anxious to hear what people say. I want to be inclusive. I hope that people join and volunteer to join the committees and those that are interested in helping me on the communication committee. I would very much appreciate your participation.
Thank you. Thank you. John, would you make your final comment, please?
Yeah, thank you. So I guess my final comment would be that, I make a commitment to the membership. My style is that I'm very interactive with people. I really enjoy talking to people and understanding what's on their minds, because I think that's the only way towards significant improvement as far as everything that goes on in the club. Whether it's golf, whether it's, social activities, whether it's just, uh, the incidental things that we do in interacting with other members. I think that goes a long way towards optimizing the club. And I've forgotten who had said it, but you're all here at the end of the day. You pay a lot of money, and you want to make sure that it's a good investment and one where you're getting good returns in terms of their level of enjoyment. And I'm one for no surprises. So if I can head something off at the pass, that's
Sure.
what I'd like to do.
Great. Thank you. We do have some time for any questions and I'm going to take that moment to ask Brian to make his final comment.
Feel like I'm at home. So, I guess it's just I think one thing that people, first of all, I'll say this: it's an honor to be on the board, and I hope that I fulfill the responsibility well, and I'll do everything I can to do that, no matter how much time it takes or how much effort it takes. But I think that we have to understand that the board doesn't run this operation here. We have an incredible team here, management team that does. The board sort of sets the tone and sets direction, but on a day-to-day, the board doesn't do that. And I think everyone in the community needs to understand that and appreciate that. I'm open to ideas. I'm not on this board to represent Hawthorne, and I don't think any of these guys are here to represent their individual neighborhoods by no means. We're here to represent everyone. And by that, we'll listen to anything anyone has to say. And, I'm happy to hear other opinions. When I worked, I was in we had a consulting firm, and, I had a lot of people we hired. And I would have meetings with them, and I would go and sit and throw something out and listen to them talk. And I would say probably 9 times 10.
Did I mention flexibility is an important characteristic to have on the board?
I know Joe's trying to get this, so.
Okay, conclusion.
No, it's not.
Well, let's see what happens.
Well, I just gotta say,
yeah.
9 times out of 10, I'd walk out of those meetings with our staff with ideas that were much better than mine. So
Sure.
It's good to get the opinions of others, and I think we all here encourage that, and we'll take it to the board and help those opinions form our final decisions.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, now I think I have officially asked all the right questions. So Thank you. Are there any questions that any of you would like to have of any member of the new board members? Don't all come up at once. I can only. We do have some folks online. I don't know if we're reaching them right now. I'm not so sure that if I said this, they could hear me, but if there's anybody online who has a question, now would be the time to offer it. Okay. Let me again thank you all on behalf of the membership. Oh, we do have a question. This is Kathy Taylor, please. I'm sorry, Linda Taylor. Linda Taylor. That's my alter ego helping me out here. Linda Taylor. That's my alter ego helping me. They actually worked on this for about an hour beforehand to get it. Apparently not very effectively. All right.
Well, I mentioned earlier, we are here for 6 months or so, and then 6 months back in Massachusetts.
Full time. Same thing. We're here about 6 months and then 6 months back in Cape Cod.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Again, thank all of you for coming and meeting the candidates, which really are now pre-board members. I hope you agree with those of us who were kind enough, who were privileged enough to interview these people and to determine what wonderful candidates and board members they're going to be. I hope they've expressed that adequately. We certainly think you have. And on behalf of the membership, we thank you for your commitment to our community and to the service that you'll provide us. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got.